Welcome back, guys, to NunoSolutions.com. I'm Nuno, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how we can create a business rule within ServiceNow. In the last couple of videos, we registered for a ServiceNow developer instance, and we logged in and set up our menu with all the menu items that we need. And in this video, we're going to create our first business rule. This is an essential part of a B2B integration because it allows us to trigger certain things to happen whenever an incident is created or an incident is saved or updated. These triggers or events that will execute whenever you save or create an incident can be executed based on very specific conditions. Like, as an example, if an incident is updated and we assign an assignment group of Nuno Solutions, for example, we can make a business rule trigger only when an incident is updated to an assignment group Nuno Solutions, as an example. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to do that, and we'll kind of get started. So as you can see, I have logged into ServiceNow, and I have my menu set up, which we did in the last video. And I also have another tab here, and let me just close this actually, I'll show you. So the system logs -all here. If you hold the control button on your keyboard and you left click, it opens up a new tab, and then you could click on this second tab here, and you can see this is the logs for this instance of ServiceNow. This shows you errors, warnings, and information, right? This is the level is the column that shows you the type of message that's being logged. There's three types that I know of. It's information, warning, or error. Source column on the right side is where is this message coming from. For example, if we log a message, an informational message from a business rule, we can specify that the source, what source it's coming from. So in this example, I'm actually going to set the log source to the business rule name. And I'll get to that. And then in the message, it's whatever message I want to log. So let's go into ServiceNow, and let's go into system definition -business rules. And then when we get in there, we're going to create a new business rule. Click the new button on the top right. And then once we're there, I'm actually going to unpin this menu for now so it gets out of our way, so we can see a little bit more of the screen. And we're going to give our business rule a name. I'm just going to name it Nuno _BR for business rule _ log message, right? So this business rule is called Nuno BR log message. We're going to want this business rule to execute on, you need to tell it what business object or what table you want the business rule to trigger on. In this case, we're going to use the incident. So if you search for incident, the one you want is the one that says incident and then in square brackets incident. So select that. That's the table name that you're going to want to select. We're also going to select advanced here. And you'll notice over here, we have multiple tabs at the bottom here. You see when to run to, actions. When you click this advanced checkbox, you'll see you get an advanced tab, right? I'll show you why we need that, but for now, just check mark the advanced tab. Scroll down to the bottom, and what we're gonna do here is we're gonna change when this runs. It's asking us when should this business rule run, or when should this be triggered. So we're gonna change this to async, and then we're also gonna check mark the update checkbox, which means anytime the table incident is updated, execute this business rule. Right now we have no conditions, so this business rule will execute every single time we update an incident, like literally every single time. And I can prove that if I go into here, I can just type in in the advanced tab, you'll get a script, and you can do it gs.log and hello. I'm just gonna say hello YouTube, and it takes another second parameter. The second parameter is the source, and I'm just going to copy the name of the business rule, and I'm just going to put in here the name of the business rule as a source. So the first parameter is your message that you're logging. The second parameter is the source. I'm going to right click the header here, and I'm going to hit save. Okay, and now we're going to go back into the favorites menu, and I'm going to hold control and click incident -all. Opens up a new tab for us. And now in here, I'm going to create a new incident, and I just want to show real quick. I'm going to create this quickly. I'm just going to pick myself. This is YouTube, and I'm going to pick the assignment group of Nuno Solutions. This is a group I created previously. I'm just going to hit right click the header, and I'm going to say save. Now, if I go into the log file and I refresh this, we shouldn't receive any log message in here that's coming from the source Nuno _BR log message, right? The business rule. That's because we created the incident, right? And we said we want this business rule to only trigger whenever we do an update. So let's go ahead and now update the incident. I'm just going to put a couple exclamation marks in the short description. Right click the header and hit save. Now if I go into the log tab and I hit F5 for refresh, or press the refresh button here, you can see there's actually a log message coming from Nuno BR log message. And this is the source where it's coming from. And since we're using the gs.log, that's informational. It automatically sets the log level to information. And the message that we submitted was hello YouTube. The purpose of this video is not to show you different types of logging mechanisms, but really quick, I just want to show you, if you go into your business rule, click advanced, go down to the script, you could also do gs.error, and it's the same parameters. This is the error message, and this is the name of the source. And I'm just going to put here, this is name of source. You can name this anything you want. It doesn't really matter, right? And let me put the semicolon at the end here. Right click the header and hit save. Now, if I go into my incident and I save it, what we're supposed to see a hello YouTube and error message from name of source. So let's do that. I'm going to put one extra exclamation here. I'm going to right click the header, hit save. And once this is done saving, I'm going to go down to the log message, hit refresh. And you can see we got a log record here where the log level is error, and the log message is error message, which coincides directly with our line that we have here. So this is just for informational purposes, so you know you can do that. Okay, so what do we want to actually do here? We want this business rule to only execute if the assignment group is Nuno Solutions. So let's go back into the When to Run tab, scroll down, and in the choose under the section that says filter conditions, it should be a little drop down here. Click on that drop down, and then you get this little search bar. We're going to search for assignment. And what we're looking for here is assignment group. And what I'm going to say here is I only want this business rule to execute whenever the assignment group is Nuno Solutions. By the way, when you're doing this in your own developer instance, just create your own assignment group if you want to, or you can use one of the existing ones, feel free. I just like to use my own because it's easier. You know, I could easily test it. So we're going to right click the header, hit save. And we're going to go into the advanced tab, and you can see now we only have one informational log message. I'm just going to update that real quick. If we go into the incident and let's go and delete the assignment group, first of all, save it. And if you refresh, you'll see there is no message logged, right? Now I'm also going to do delete some of these exclamation marks and save it again. And if I go and refresh the log, there should be no Nuno BR, log message that says hello. And you see here, this is a previous one that was added. Okay, so let me scroll up to the top. Now I'm going to change the assignment group to Nuno Solutions. I'm just going to say this is a test. I'm just changing the short description just so we can see it. I'm going to save it. And once this is done saving, I'm going to go into the log messages. I'm going to refresh, and you can see right off the bat, you can see hello YouTube in here. And the reason why is because the business rule is now executing whenever we have the assignment group as Nuno Solutions, right? So let's go back into our business rule. And first step in a B2B integration, right, is going to be to create a data transfer object, right? A data transfer object is an object that's typically used to transfer data from one system to another or from one method to another. So let's do that. I'm actually going to copy a little bit of code here. I'm going to get rid of this log message, and I'm just going to put here what step one is. Step one, construct a data transfer object, also known as a DTO, by the way, guys. This is what's commonly called in programming. If you're not a programmer, this is, you can look this up. But all it is a custom object that you're creating so you could transfer that data to an external source of some sort. So if you're familiar with JavaScript, that's actually very good, because in ServiceNow, the way you create scripting is all pretty much JavaScript. So if you don't worry about it. You can just run through my tutorials, and then at least learn how to do the B2B integration. And then you could also Google and learn a little bit of JavaScript so you can do things within this scripting section here. Oh, one thing I completely forgot. There is, in this advanced tab, there's another condition here. So these business rules, no matter what, will execute regardless if it's a user actually physically updating the incident, like a person, or if it's a system update that happens in the background, right? That where the incident gets updated, the business rule executes. But in our case, we only want to trigger this business rule when it's the user interactively updating the incident. To do that, you're going to do gs.getSession.isInteractive. And that's it. That's all you got to do. This is now a condition. Basically, what this really says for this current session and this current update, was this updated by a person? If yes, then run this script. It won't run this script if it's like a system backend update. And I'll give you an example. Like, let's say we have a B2B integration already in place, and we're not now updating incidents. We don't want our business rules to execute when our system is doing the update. We only want our business rules to execute when a person is doing the update. All right, so let's create our DTO object now at the bottom. So we're going to declare a incident DTO. This is the variable name of our DTO. And this is an object, so you need the squiggly brackets, and I'm just going to put a semicolon at the bottom here. And what we're going to get is, we're going to start basic. We're just going to get system ID. This is the first property of the DTO that we want. And now, one thing that's important, when this business rule executes, it receives a copy of the current incident. And you see here, this current, this is actually a variable parameter in this business rule that gets injected with the properties of the current incident. So if I type in here current.sysid, and you see, we get, I don't know if they call this IntelliSense in ServiceNow, but in Visual Studio, whenever we get these kind of pop-ups, it's called IntelliSense. It's like a pop-up list that gives you suggestions of properties and methods on the current object. It usually pops up when you press this dot like this. And that's a quick pro tip. Well, it's not a pro tip, but it's just a quick tip. If you press the dot and you don't get one of these pop-ups, you probably mistyped your object name. In here, we're going to do sysid. So this is actually, so the current, you could almost think about this is a reference to the incident that was updated by the user. So we're getting the updated incident sysid, right? And I'm actually going to do a .toString. I do this for every single property when I'm creating a DTO object, because I ran into a few weird issues during integration on some properties, depending on the data type of the property, where if you don't do .toString, it doesn't give you the actual value. So it's good practice to just do a .toString here. We're also going to get the incident number is the incident number. So we're going to say current.number. .toString, of course. We're also going to get the created by, and we're going to do current dot, and this is a little bit different here. We're going to do a get display value. You see there's actually two methods, get display name or get display value. We're going to use get display value, and we're going to get the display value for the sys underscore created by column that's in the table, the incident table. This is an automatically added column to ServiceNow whenever you create any object. So let's just stick with these three properties for now. Now I'm actually going to right click the top here. I'm gonna hit save because I don't want to lose our changes. And now, so step one was create the business rule, apply the condition, and then create our data transfer object within the advanced tab of the script. And then obviously this thing here. So anyway, so now that we got step one out of the way, step number two is going to be we have to actually convert our data transfer object into a JSON string or into text essentially. And because in order to log it to the log file, or in order to post it through an HTTP message as an HTTP post request in the body, we have to set it as a string. So to do that, it's actually kind of simple. If you know JavaScript, you've probably already done this. So we're going to create a new variable called incident JSON. And what we're going to do here is we're going to set this to, this is actually a JavaScript function, JSON.stringify. And this basically takes an object and it converts it into JSON data. So in here, we're going to pass in the incident DTO object. And we're going to add a semicolon at the end, of course. So now we have, if this is successful, we just took the current incident's sysid number and created by person name in this incident DTO object, and we're passing it into this JSON.stringify and returning string or text of JSON data representing this record. How do we know this? Well, we could log this using the gs.log method that I showed a little while ago, but let me just show you something you can do in here, which is kind of neat. Let me maximize this screen. So you can see that this right here is a self-calling function that gets executed automatically when the business rule is triggered. But you could also create other functions in here that are JavaScript functions. So I'm going to create a JavaScript function. I'm going to call it add log, and I'll explain why I'm going to do this. And this add log function is going to take a message as a parameter, which is going to be a string message. And in here, we're going to say gs.log. We're going to pass in the message as the first parameter, because that's the message we actually want to log. And then in the second parameter, which is the source, we're just going to name it nuno_br_log message. So the reason why I create this little helper function is because I don't want to have to deal with adding the source every single time. In the past, as I created a B2B integration, I've had multiple log messages, and what ended up happening, I had to go through every script. When I renamed an object, like a business rule name, if I want to rename it for whatever, let's say I wanted to change the name of this business rule to Nuno Solutions _br. If I had multiple log messages like this, I would have to update every single one. I mean, you could do a find and replace, but this is just a little cleaner to do it this way. So now in this code part over here, I could actually call this add log function that I just created, and I could pass in, I could just say incident JSON :space, and I'm going to say plus our incident JSON object. Now I'm going to exit full screen mode, and I'm just going to right click the header and hit save. And if everything goes right, if I update the incident now, we should get a log message. Let's do that actually. Let's go into the incident. Let's just do exclamation, exclamation, and I'll correct this here. we'll update the incident, right click the header and hit save. And then once the save is complete, if we go back into the log messages and refresh, we should see a record in here coming from Nuno BR log message, which you can see right here. And you'll see that it's an informational log, right? So our function that we created, add log, this function here worked. This actually created the log, an informational log message in here. And the informational log message, as you can see, is incident JSON colon, and then the actual JSON payload of our object. This is the string representation of the object that we created in JavaScript. If I actually copy this and I go into VS Code, and let me just move it over here. Actually, it's on my other screen. And I paste the code in here. If I press Shift, Alt, and F to auto-format this, you can see exactly that. We have a sys with a unique, this is basically the internal ID number that's added to every object. Every object has a sys, right? It's just like I think this is a GUID actually. I'm not sure if it is, but it's some kind of unique ID that they add. The number is the incident number, obviously, and the created by, and you see it's actually admin. That's because I'm logged in as admin. I'm the one who made the update, so I actually am the one who created that incident. So if I minimize this and I go back into the business rule, this is like the first step, guys. Business rules are very important, but there's also other types of objects. If I go into the favorites here, let me pin this. One of the other things we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to create a REST message. And then the REST message, when you create the REST message, you can actually identify different APIs that you can call and use within your scripts. But I'll show how to do that in a later video, because in step 3, the way we're gonna do this is going to be, and I'll just show you a quick preview of a way that you can do it without actually creating a REST message. You could actually instantiate a REST message v2 object in ServiceNow. You could tell it the method you want to use, like HT post, get, right? And you could also set the URL, and then you could actually do an execute, right? Where you do something like this, and response equals request.execute. And obviously you have to set the body in here, right? I'm not going to do that in this video. I'll show you how to do that in the next video, but this is the preview of what I'm going to show you in the next video. So guys, if you like this video and you found it useful, please subscribe and also like the video, because it really helps out a lot. And it also motivates me to make more of these. I have tons and tons of knowledge that I really want to share with everyone that I think would be very useful. So thanks very much and have a good day.